The Brutally Speaking podcast is proudly sponsored by Rockabilia. For over 30 years, they have been the go-to destination for all your music merch needs. From working with today's hottest bands to create truly one-of-a-kind pieces, as well as boasting a truly massive online store, Rockabilia is your one-stop shop when it comes to band merch. Use our code BRUTALLY at checkout and take 10% off your total purchase order. Huge thanks to Rockabilia for their continued support, and now, on to the show.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing. This rings true because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, and if you're not having fun doing it, you're gonna give up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Brutally Speaking podcast. I am your host, John, and this episode's guest is the returning Scott Lee, founder of the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival, celebrating its 25th year, taking place September 21st and 22nd at the Palladium in Worcester, Massachusetts. Good old Worcester. And a lot of great bands are playing. Scott and I get into the lineup this year, as well as some memories of seeing some of these bands and some of the lineups over the years. And this chat versus last year, we really just kind of get into the bands that are playing, you know, him asking if I've checked out certain bands. And I really want to give credit where credit is due, because Scott has his hands on the pulse, his fingers on the pulse. Whatever appendage you put on a pulse, Scott has done. He, is still keeping up with everything that is currently happening in the heavy spaces of metal and hardcore and all that, while still obviously honoring the legacy acts that have established metal and hardcore over the years, over the decades, I should say. And to be able to kind of put together a lineup of new and old, I think just showcases how well and how much Scott loves the scene and the genre. And as someone who gets constantly pitched band after band after band after band, I definitely got to say I have so much fatigue of trying to keep up with anything that a lot of times I just kind of go back to my comfort food bands, so to speak, my comfort food music, and just kind of listen to a bunch of different stuff. But, obviously there are bands that kind of permeate into even what I'm listening to, and sometimes I feel like such a fraud at times where I'm like, I like heavy music, and then it's just a lot of the same bands that everyone's like, I'm into that band. Looking at the lineup, honestly, like a band like Mammoth Grinder, probably not a band I've ever heard. I have not listened to. I don't think has come across in any of my emails or anything. But that obviously doesn't mean that that's that they're not a good band, that there aren't people that are going to be very excited to see that band. But to me, a band like 200 Stab Wounds very recently, I've really, really gotten into listening to them. The new record's coming out. So very but unfortunately was not something that I could make happen with how busy my work schedule got at the time. So unfortunately, that might just have to be a back burner thing for a little while longer. But, that's a band that I'm really excited about. And as you'll hear me kind of talk, a band like Balmora, which honestly is all in partial credit to the dudes in It Dies Today, like hyping them up on their socials over the last couple of months. So, that's sort of how we used to find bands anyway, was bands championing other bands that they were into and listening to. Even today, as I'm recording this, Brandon Chiappetti from Bleeding Through ended up making a comment on his page for the gym that he does, Rise Above Fitness, basically saying that they are going to start blasting the bands that they were really vibing with that week at the gym, and hopefully that it encourages people to listen to new bands, find new music, whatever. And, in this day and age of the playlists and all that kind of stuff, it's a great way to keep finding new bands and finding bands maybe that you just missed. Like, someone listening to this as I'm looking at the lineup literally right in front of me, maybe you never heard After the Burial. Maybe you never heard of Throwdown or, Incendiary or Overkill or some of these older bands that I've been listening to for a while. But maybe now this is your way to getting into that band, and the music's still there. You still get to enjoy it just the way I do, although it is a little bit different, I think, with some of these bands where it's like, man, I remember when this band first came out and the impact that these songs had. And that's a little bit of an interesting thing too. I've kind of been in my own head about some of these re-records kind of happening. Famously, Incubus has been doing the Morning View 23rd year anniversary or something, which makes me feel old. But man, those songs musically still sound pretty good. It's pretty true to the original, kind of gives it a little bit more of how it feels when you see it live. I will definitely say I'm not really a fan of Brandon Boyd's vocals. I understand voices change. I understand sometimes you want to do something different vocally as well, but it's kind of the hard thing at times when you're like, oh, this exists, but I'm going to go listen to the original. And I think that kind of exists a lot too with various songs that come from, metal and hardcore. I mean, famously, Lamb of God recently, I should say not recently, but in a handful of years, went back and redid, what was it? As the Palaces Burn? Ashes of the Wake. It was Ashes of the Wake, now I think about it. And I don't know. It sounds fine, but it also just doesn't sound the way that I remember the album sounding. So I'd be interested to see if someone who was maybe not into a band when the album first came out and then they do a re-record and maybe had been into the band for a little bit. I would be interested to see if you A and B'd it, if they would choose the original or the re-record. But all of that to say that heavy music is in a really good state. The New England Metal Hardcore Festival has always kind of been the staple, the benchmark of the who's who in the scene, past and present. And Scott has done a great job of resurrecting the festival in the last 2 years and continuing on with the tradition of basically being one of the flagship festivals to showcase the scene. And so many other great festivals are coming up over the country, with LDB, Tied Down in Detroit. Basically everything that Hardlord goes to is a part of in some way, shape, or form. Definitely showcases that hardcore and metal are starting to be a force to be reckoned with in the touring capacity and so forth. And obviously, it's great to see. So without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Scott Lee. I'll talk to you on the other side of it.
Hey, what do you think of the lineup today of the Slaughter, Summer Slaughter? That's my question.
So I got the email chance to look at it because today for my job, I work at a screen printing company, and apparently we had to make 4 different designs for Eminem's Mom Spaghetti stuff for the draft literally on Friday and this weekend in Detroit. So
Nice.
it was like running around with like chickens with their heads cut off all day. Or it's just like, we need this. We need it now. And like literally to start the day at 6 a.m., it was, we have 4 orders we have to do. We don't have the garments. We don't even have approved designs currently. And then it was scrambling around once the jobs kind of came in. The garments came in, I think at like 8 or 9. And then, like I said, it was just fucking mad dashing because, like I said, it's got to go to Detroit by Friday. When the
Where are you based out of?
Michigan, Grand Rapids.
Very
so
cool.
potentially you would know us from booking shows, the Intersection, 20 Monroe, if you are around for that. Orbit Room, definitely.
Yep.
Although that's long gone now at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But yeah, I didn't see, because I thought when I got the email, I thought maybe it was just saying that it was coming back. I didn't know there was actually a festival announcement today, like with bands on it. Let's see. We got Veil of Maya. That's awesome. The fucking homies.
Jeez,
Left to Suffer. Tala. This is where I know I'm starting to get old, where like certain things I'm like, I can't read. Is it Cabal? Is that who it is?
I think, yeah, Cabal. Yep.
Even you're like, I think so.
Yep.
And then Brat, is that how?
Yep.
Am I reading that right? I don't think I've ever heard of them, but the logo is kind of intriguing.
Yeah, they're on. I believe they're on the Prosthetic.
Okay.
They're playing Metal Fest too, and so is Brand of Sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of got to be like the interesting thing, because I would assume then, if you're asking me how I feel about the festival lineup, that obviously you are working on Summer Slaughter and bringing it back then.
No, I had nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the whole thing. That coming back, I was just like, this is pretty cool. It's usually death metal. You know what I mean? A lot more death metal. Like Veil's a great band. It comes from that techie metal type of thing. But Brand is, that's this is a new becoming a king of deathcore. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Cabal's great, and Left to Suffer is always great, and Gideon. I thought there'd be some more little brutal death metal to it.
Well, I think at least what's nice is so far that it's not doing sort of what I think was kind of the downfall of the all fucking bands that you're like, okay, this thing has to start at 2:00 and still ends at 11 midnight, and you're like, that's who wants to be at a festival for 12 hours on one day? It's not. I mean, and I guess more so in a setting, in a venue like that. It's it's one thing when it's kind of a destination thing, like the New England Metal Hardcore Festival has always been. But even you've expanded that starting last year, where you got the outdoor stage. So there's a little bit of not being trapped indoors all day.
Correct. I mean, are we running? Are we going?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, at last year was first year we did it outside, and it was awesome. And just how we set up with the stages and everything like that. So it's you can stand in the middle, and when one band's done, you can just turn around, and then the other, it's pretty simple. And it's a good time, and the inside stage is crazy. People jumping off of everything. It's awesome. It's a very good time. I was very proud of it. I'm very proud of the setup. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, and kind of again speaking to not feeling insanely old this time, but it's seeing bands like Balmora and Alluvial and 200 Stab Wounds, which I think I'm actually going to try to get them on here pretty soon. That it's kind of nice to see a lot of the up and coming bands that I think it's funny seeing the dudes in It Dies Today really loving Balmora, and everyone's kind of really getting into it, because it kind of has that throwback sound that we all those of us who grew up listening to all these bands in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's they have that sound without really feeling like it's disingenuous. It's yeah, clearly you can tell I like this band, and that we're going to outgrow it. It feels lived in, and it feels authentic to who they are. And I think as a longtime fan of this music, it's kind of nice and refreshing to see something and hear something that feels like that.
Yeah, there's some other bands like that just kicking back to the whole scenario, and taking the lesson from the older people, like Gates to Hell. You know what I mean? That band's that band's awesome. And I don't know, I think Belmore is a great band. I think they're awesome. They're definitely gonna be something to watch, in the future and stuff. There's I don't know, I'm pretty excited about the lineup. What bands stick out to you the most?
I guess I would have a question, because actually, it was funny. I just was reminded, because I think Brian from Shadows Fall finally liked a comment I left on a post of his of a ticket stub, and it had Shadows Fall and somebody else, maybe God forbid, up front on the top of the ticket, and then really big in the middle of the ticket, though it was Candiria and somebody else, and I was it's so weird seeing a ticket like that, because in my head, whoever's kind of the bigger font, that's the headliner. Yeah. But you have bands that I think at the time would have been bigger than Candiria was. So I was I don't know who the headliner was in this. Is it Candiria, or is it, Shadows Fall and all that? And I think Corey from God Forbid commented that it was Shadows Fall that headlined, and Candiria is one of the openers. And I was it's just so weird, because we're so accustomed to paying attention to size of fonts and tour ad mat and all this stuff. And it gets a lot of bands in trouble of, well, fuck it, we're not doing it because we're, our font size isn't big enough. But to me, I think something that's interesting is just seeing how Slaughter to Prevail has just really come up really quickly here in the States, to me, because it looks if I'm looking at the flyer, it's they're kind of one of the bigger headliners.
They are. They're headlining one day. They're headlining, and then it's so basically. Hold on, I'm trying to get. Slaughter to Prevail and Suicide Silence. I mean, Suicidal Tendencies. Excuse me. Sorry, my bad. And Slaughter to Prevail is a band that is selling out big venues by themselves. No support, nothing. They're playing. I'm going to see them this weekend at 16 World, and then they're playing. A LA show and a Denver show with Kubla. And it's amazing. It's going to be fucking great.
Well, I know that I can speak to this because no one knows that this tour is getting announced yet, but when this comes out, it'll be announced. But I mean, the fact that they're going to be, first of 3, as far as I know, I don't think there's another band going to be on this, but on that Falling in Reverse tour with Idola, with Dance Gavin Dance and them.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah. I mean, it's like there's something. I heard rumors of that. I don't know that confirming, but this band, it's like. My man wrestles bears. He's a real deal, real deal guy. I mean, I've had conversations with him. He's a genuine dude. You know what I mean? He just, he's fucking Russia.
Yeah.
Straight up. And I think the other guys in the band. I've known a couple of them and good people. I mean, I can't. I know there's some shit going on, but they're just good people. I'm sorry. There's.
Well, I think and that was that was sort of how I knew about the tour that's not been announced yet, because my friend Andrew is in Dance Gavin and is basically taking over the role that their other singer got kicked out of. But we were talking about essentially how cancel culture kind of really isn't a thing, and more or less how with that band, when they had some shit with their old singer, they did underplays because they had gotten kicked off the Coheed tour. Did underplays, sold out everything, business as usual, actually did better, had more listeners, all this kind of stuff. Talking even to Falling in Reverse and all the Ronnie stuff. And to me, it's funny because I feel like even there, and I'm not speaking to your personal relationships, so I'm not trying to put any words or anything into your mouth, but seeing even a band like As Lay Dying on this, there might have been some trepidation a couple of years ago where festival people would have been like, we're just not going to put them on because of, the hate we may get from casual fans that probably aren't even going to come out anyway. Yeah. But it's to me, seeing Slaughter to Prevail high on the list, and like I said, even As Lay Dying on there, it's it feels like, I don't want to say a redemption story, but it feels like people are kind of being able to maybe not listen to the vocal minority that's seemingly so loud online, and just letting people make a decision based on the analytics of the touring world, as well as just, is it a good band or is it a good band? Do they rip? Are they great live? Are they going to draw? Because ultimately that's the point for you having a festival. That's the point. So,
it's listen, how do I put this? I've watched As Lay Dying since Tim got back. Did time, did jail, went to jail, did all the stuff, came out of it. You if you don't like them, you don't like them. If you do, but guess what? A lot of people like them. There's still a lot of people that like them, and I don't think. I mean, it's people have moved on, moved in, do this, do that. They still tour. They're still a band that's booked by big agency, done. That's on big record labels, and they're gonna play big shows. And something, it is what it is. If you don't like them, I'm sorry. So, it is what it is. I don't know how to explain it any more than he's done his time and paid his penance, in the sense. It's if you don't like the guy, don't go to the show, don't listen to his music. That's it.
I mean, preaching to the choir on that, even when everything, and I don't want to make it all about the bad side of all of this shit, but I think it is just kind of an interesting talking point, because I think for a while there was a lot of question, and I mean, even having Ken on and being friends with Ken, I had kind of asked him when they did that first tour, when he was still in Unearth, and I was like, a lot of people, I would say, look up to the guys in Unearth as kind of OGs, and you're co-signing basically this is one of the first tours that they're doing back, and how do you feel about it? And obviously, I think you doing this and agreeing to do it says a lot, because I think people value you and your opinion. And I think even having him now in the band, I think does that in a further extension. So to me, I think people get too too wrapped up in shit that doesn't fucking matter. And at the end of the day, also having gone through, and I kind of talked a little bit about this in my chat with Tim recently. You know, at the end of the day, if people don't believe in the rehabilitation process of our judicial system, that's a way bigger talking point.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't think anyone would want to have their quote unquote sins put out there for everyone and judged and be like, well, you're always going to be this and you're never going to be anything else. No one would want that. And you would want everyone to believe that you're going to become a better person over time and not be judged based on past mistakes you made in your life.
Listen, it's like everybody's so quick to say, fuck that guy, fuck this, fuck that. Like, cool. That's your opinion. You know what I mean? Definitely as Americans, we have our opinion. You know what I mean? We can have the right for that. It's okay. And that's fine. You know, and like, I just think there's, you know, it's music's music. You know what I mean? And like, you know, it's like, I think there's people out there some of them just have miserable lives and they want to post about shit and like, you know, like, I don't know. I think I'm just trying to put the best show I can put together. That's all I'm trying to do. And, you know, as I lay dying, I get slaughtered for fail, man, you know, those people put butts in the seats, and that's what I'm trying to do. So, you know, we can build into, you know, it's like, you know, so we can build other bands to do this, you know, and everything like that. And like, we haven't, you know, it's going to be a great lineup. It's a great lineup. Yeah. It's going to be a great show. And I think just, you know, take a step back and just look at things and just like put yourself in those positions. You know what I mean? And like, I think everybody's so quick to, you know, keyboard warrior everything. And like, I don't know. I think there's other people. I said this the other day. There's other people that do worse things that are put on higher pedestals. And, you know, that's what I got to say about all that, you know?
Absolutely. I think something that was a little bit surprising, though, when the festival lineup got announced, two bands I honestly thought were going to be on it for various reasons. One is Overcast, because I believe it's the 30th anniversary of their first record. Did I somehow miss that on the flyer?
No.
Okay. Okay. Never mind. Then I think I may have stumbled onto something. Fair enough. The other one that it was a super fingers crossed thing, and I'll tell you something more about this when we're not on an official recording, but I really thought Blood Has Been Shed was going to be on this.
Man, I tried so fucking hard. I tried.
I know. I'm trying for you on the back end. I'm trying on the back end for you.
I tried. The other night I was at the Kublai show in Hartford, and I was just busy. He's like, "Are you here?" And I'm like, "Yes. Where are you?" And he didn't respond back to me. And I'm like, "I need to talk to you." So
I will say, I'll save it for when we're done, because I've been working on it on the back end for sure.
I also tried for Aftershock too.
Oh, what a goddamn! I recently sold my record collection in the last, since we last talked, and it was real funny. They had me come in because they didn't know what certain things were or why. Like I had some stuff signed, and so they're like, "What's this thing? This two of the same record but different colors?" And I was like, "Oh, these are my Aftershock albums that I had Tyler and Joel Adam sign." And they're Joel and Adam, and they're like, "Who are they?" And I was like, "So," and I really wanted to pull out like a fucking map, like an old school school map, where it's like, okay, so you had Overcast, you had Aftershock, and you had all these bands, and then just kind of start like breaking it down of how this created everything else and how like the lasting legacy of the impact of those bands on the music scene moving forward still.
Did you know that John Donay from Shadows Fall was in Aftershock?
I did not know. Different people kind of in various iterations of the band.
Matt from Shadows Fall was also in one rendition of it. I don't, you know, and so that band was like, you had Shadows Fall, Aftershock, Push Button Warfare, which had Paul. Push Button Warfare, have you ever heard of that?
In name.
Okay, Push Button Warfare is Zeus, the producer.
Oh, okay.
And the second singer was Bruce LePage from 100 Demons.
Yep.
And then Jamie Muckenhup from Hatebreed Death Threat. And then Paul Robeco from Shadows Fall. and then Bruce was the second singer, and then there was Justin Marcoux, rest in peace. He was the first singer out of upstate New York. And
so Toby was the last one then.
no,
essentially.
that's Push Button Warfare.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Toby was just Aftershock.
Yeah.
Toby, and then Adam and his brother, obviously.
Yeah. I think I was talking with Tyler somewhat recently, and I think he's doing something with Toby right now, which I was like, how did you get him and find him? Because I thought he was like not doing anything anymore.
He does the Devil's Head production. I bought a bunch of stuff from him the other day, and he's still doing stuff. He works for Lego, I think, or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last thing I remember him putting out of recent, quote unquote, was that like weird metal Lego thing. So that was fun.
He's great. But back to the
rad.
I try. I think we got some more stuff we're coming out with. We got some more names we're putting up there. Soon, next week we have another drop.
Okay. Well, it's always kind of funny because like I feel like your flyer, unlike even the Summer Slaughter one, where it'll show the slots where it's like there's someone coming, it just hasn't been announced. Yeah. Your poster when it came out, your ad mat looks very much like this is the lineup. It's all not gonna.
Oh God, no. We got when's this dropping?
I had to move some shit. So give me just a second to look at what I've got. This will be out. Let's see, 1, 2. This will probably be out in about, what is today, 24th? Mm-hmm. Probably about a month and a half, maybe 2.
Cool. So I can tell you what I got going on. Hold on a second. So yeah, we're next week we're announcing Year of the Knife.
Oh shit!
And then
will that be the first show back for them?
I don't know if it's the first show back. It's the first announced show back.
Okay, because I was gonna say Maddie, when she was on Hard Lore, was talking about there's lots of offers that have been coming in. She teased that there was an announcement coming.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But okay, fair enough. Well, that's awesome.
I think it's us. I mean, I went to Philly to see KublaiKhan, and I saw them. I saw her and her husband briefly, and like it was cool. They're very good people. I'm happy they're back. I'm happy that this is working out for them. Anybody to go through that whole bullshit and come back and be like, hey, we're gonna come back and play. That's cool. That's good for them. You know what I mean? Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, even having seen it, and I mean, it's been a few years now, but with the Ghost Inside, which I'm gonna go see them on Friday, and it's just been incredible to see. I mean, I hate to call it a resurrection, but I mean, can't really think of a better phrase. Yeah. But just seeing what they're doing and how they're coming back and kind of found the love of doing it all again and kind of got past all the hardships of everything they went through. And I think obviously Year of the Knife, I think, I hate to say it like this, where it's like we have an example now of like how a band can overcome such tragedy. Yeah. But I think it's still inspiring. It's still crazy. I mean, even listening to that Hard Lore episode where it's like, Maddie's like, other than just having pieces of like memories gone from the night of the accident and stuff, it's like the fact that she's fully recovered, ready to go, like fucking incredible.
It's good stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I'm also, we got some other things coming in. That's gonna be cool. I'm excited for Nails. That's what I'm excited for.
Nails is a solid one. I think for me, like Overkill, because I feel I don't even want to call it like a second wind or anything in their career, because I think if you've seen them consistently, they've always been great. But it's been crazy because I feel like they're just getting this like push right now of like people, maybe it's the younger demographic or it's the people my age or older that now are in a spot in life where it's like maybe the kids are all gone and now you can go support them and with financially like when they're on tour. But it seems like Overkill is just coming back like with a vengeance like the last like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, man. It was funny. I saw Blitz in New York, and I was like, or New Jersey, excuse me. And he looks great. Everything's great. It's like they're doing their thing. They keep going. They're like the Energizer fucking bunny. It's like Jesus Christ. But yeah, I'm excited for them. That's another one I'm excited for. It's like just seeing this whole thing. It's just how we put this together. I'm really proud of this lineup. Like, I mean, it was really funny. I called Ryan Downey, who works with Throwdown, and I'm like, hey, "Oh man, can I get the old man to come play?" And he's like, "Send the offer." I'm like, "All right, here we go. They're good." I'm like, "No shit, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, cool." So I'm excited about Throwdown.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see Throwdown in so long, and famous for on the show, but my wife, when I first met her, had a copy of Haymaker
Oh
on
wow.
vinyl. And then she's like, "Yeah, some asshole who used to own this before me, I guess, like wrote his name all over it." And then I looked at it and I was like, "That's fucking Dave Peters. That's the singer of Throwdown. He signed this." And then unfortunately, when we our last dog, when she had a bunch of medical bills we had to pay, I like sold some of my records, and that was one of them that when I put up, a lot of people were interested in. And I tweeted about it, and Dave was like, "I wish I could sign a bunch of Throwdown stuff and pay for my vet bills." And I was like, "You totally could."
He's great.
I need to get him on. He's so like reluctant to like do press, which is kind of weird.
That's funny. He should do it.
I think so.
He's great.
I mean, maybe it's the name of the show, but I think, you know, enough of his peers have been on that should be able to vouch for me and not be like all weird about it.
I think he's I don't know. I think he's great. The band's great. It's awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I think I'm excited about that. What else? Pain and Truth's great. Are you a fan of them?
Yeah, someone just kind of hit me to them a few months ago and was kind of surprised. Like, not surprised. I always feel like that's kind of the wrong term. Actually, I think the reason I was surprised is because I actually liked it, because I'm one of those people that a lot of times if some people start trying to push something, I'm always like, oh, I don't want this to. I don't want you to feel bad if I don't like this thing that you really like.
Yeah.
Because I know what that's like when you show something to somebody. You're like, "Oh man, this song's so fucking cool," and then someone checks it on. They're like, "Eh." You're like, "No, man, fuck you." Eh. So I don't ever want to be that for somebody else. Where I'm just like, it's okay.
I think, you know, it's interesting how people look at things. It's just, I don't know. I like Pain and Truth a lot. I think they're great. They're gonna be. I think there's gonna be another version of Terror. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one that like kind of I haven't really heard many people talking about, which was kind of interesting, and also right next to Pain and Truth though, is On Broken Wings.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. They just they're reissuing that record.
Yeah.
And I think I was talking to John Blake the other day, and he's tattooing outside of Boston. He's great. They get hit up all the time for shows and stuff like that. It's just like it's hard for them. You know, they're older people. You know.
Well, when I saw that, I was almost kind of surprised that like Johnny Cupcakes wasn't going to sponsor sponsor on this.
That's funny. He used to bring me cupcakes every time I booked them. He really did. It's funny. Then Since the Flood too. Are you a fan of that?
I do not know them at all.
Jesus Christ, what is your problem? You know,
I was gonna say, if you like, you probably understand this about as much as anyone else, but it's like the amount of like emails I have of albums that I'm supposed to check out and try to see if I want to. Go ahead.
No. Since the Flood's an old Boston band, Boston hardcore band. They used to tour the Cage to Strain and On Broken Wings, and they've been around for years. They were around for years. I'm reissuing No Compromise on my label on 1126 Records. You should check them out. You would like them a lot. They did a tour with Hatebreed and stuff too. It was like, yeah, that's a great. What's his face? Oh my god, the old singer of Fit for an Autopsy used to sing for them.
Oh,
fuck, I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
I could Google, but I hate the sound of like keyboards clacking when you're.
Oh my god, I just had it. It's all out of my head. Oh fuck. What's his name? I can't remember it. Nate Johnson.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why didn't I remember that?
Nate Johnson, he did a couple tours with them too. But yeah, they're great.
The one that caught me, because I thought you had got one band and then I reread it again. I don't know anything about Two Piece. I thought it was initially Jesus Piece, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah.
Two kids from Florida. So
the name actually is a play like on the clever.
Chris from Body Snatcher produced a bunch of their records.
Okay.
They're great. They're a really great band. Yeah, I like that. Everybody, you're not the only person to say that. Oh, that was Jesus Piece. What the fuck?
What? I'm also kind of surprised, like Ingestion's on this. Like, I think that's always the thing too with this festival. And we kind of talked about it, I think last time you were on for last year's, but it's just the fact that you're able to showcase so many wide array of genres and eras of the genre of heavy music. Um, when you're putting it together, do you really wrestle with? We want to make sure that we have kind of a little bit of everything incorporated, or is it just kind of where the chips may fall that year?
It's a lot of the chips may fall. Like, I love power metal, and I can't get power. Like, it's hard to do power metal. You know what I mean?
For the festival, or just to get it booked in general?
Well, just for the festival itself, and trying to book bands for it, because a lot of it's European, a lot of it's over, a lot of it's, it's just there's not a lot of it younger either. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's one thing. I'm just a big fan of it. You know what I mean? And Rap City and all that type of stuff. And but I mean, we just see what's out there. We try to go, hey, what can we get? What's going on tour? What is around? And just try to put it all together,
Right. Well, because the thing that's been interesting sort of in seeing some of these other, hardcore metal festivals, like Tie Down and, LDB and stuff like that, has been sort of their integration lately of more of a band like Dying Fetus and bringing them in. And it's like, if you're a fan of that band, and especially as long as they've been around, that they can fit on a bill like that. But I think to most people, especially the younger kids that are probably going to some of those festivals, they may be like, this isn't going to fit. This isn't a hardcore band.
Oh man, no. I said this the other day. I'm 52 years old, and the younger kids these days, there's no box. There's nothing. There's no box for same kid Suicide Boys will Vane will Obituary, and then they'll be jamming City Morgue. You know what I mean? And also in Kubla Khan at the same time. There's no box anymore for these things. And festivals like Tie Down and LDB, LDB did Obituary. You know what I mean? That was great. It's fucking awesome. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't. There's no the way the internet is and the way people think, and it's back in my day, we used to
mix bills,
hardcore, metalcore. Then you could do, we used to do mixed bills with we did Hatebreed and Entombed. We did, Converge and who else was it? Napalm Death. You know what I mean? It's these things fit. I do have a really cool story about something though. I wanted to tell you.
Okay.
So I'm pretty excited about Machine Head.
Yeah. Are they? So I know they're going out on tour, and they usually do an evening with essentially. So I kind of actually was going to get to that and ask you, and I don't mean to cut off your story, but I do have a question. What are we getting? Is that a secret? You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
You just get Machine Head stuff. They just did the last tour they did was they had Fear Factory. I forgot the other band's name, and Gates to Hell opened up.
Yeah.
And it's actually a very two-part story for this. So first time I saw Machine Head, I did a show in Pearl Street in Northampton, Mass. And it was Napalm Death, Obituary, and this new band, Machine Head from the Bay. And Zeus was there. He's like, yo, you got to check this Machine Head band out. They're great. This dude Morgan is a guitar player. He's no joke. And I'm like, all right, man, sounds cool. And and then it was, it's a death metal, that box. It's death metal, American death metal with Napalm Death, blah, blah, blah. And these motherfuckers, and they came out and it was left rattle break with a shotgun. It's and I was just what is this band? Why are they? And they just would go off. And it was I've never watched, they didn't stop between the songs. They just went out and then got up and done. People were just what the fuck was that? What did I just watch? That was crazy. It was awesome. So later in life, doing a show with Rob Flynn, and I was like, yo, man, first time I saw you guys play with Obituary and Napalm Death in Northampton, Mass. He's like, yeah, dude, we were odd man on that tour. And the first 4 shows, we got fucking abused. We got things thrown at us and everything like that. So we just went out like we're a fucking gang and just smashed people and just didn't care and didn't stop playing till the set was over. Built us stamina. He was like, we were scared. He was like, we just didn't want people to boo us. You know what I mean? So we just went out there angry as fuck. We were pissed. I was like, that was awesome. That was great. It was probably one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Like first time seeing a band ever. You know what I mean? I didn't get a record. I didn't hear about them. Just like Zeus is like, you gotta check this band out. I was like, holy shit, it was great. Then they played, and then I helped Gates to Hell get on the Milwaukee Metal Fest, and they played. And Rob Flynn saw them at Milwaukee Metal Fest, and then their agent reached out to them, and then Rob asked them to be the first band on the tour that just happened. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of a thing. I've said this in a few different capacities, but you never know who's at what show. So kind of always be on your P's and Q's to a degree. Yeah. Another band that I was didn't end up on this. Actually, let me go back a little bit further because you said something that kind of makes me wonder if you would ever venture into this. So, obviously you're talking about bands or groups like Suicide Boys, City Morgue, which Suicide Boys are headlining the Little Caesars Arena where the Red Wings play, which I've been into, I've known of them and kind of like some of their stuff for probably almost 10-ish years now. I didn't know that they're at that level that they can play arenas. I was like, they're still, to me, in my mind, they just, I didn't feel like they toured enough to get to that level.
They're huge.
Yeah, I guess.
They have
City Morgue was just here too, not that long ago.
Great band. Great group.
Would you ever have them on this? Because do you know?
Probably not. I mean, maybe some type of special thing. I don't know. Maybe an after party or something like that.
I just feel like potentially.
I mean,
feel like maybe
maybe not. I'll just say I don't think not right now. We'll see how.
Fair enough. It just kind of seemed like one of those things where I feel like you were saying, if a fan of this band's going to be into this band and into this band, why not expand it and kind of create sort of those mixed bills that were more prevalent back in the day of I'll say more so me growing up than that you were of age to go to and book and stuff like that, since you got about 12 years on me.
Thanks. Probably more.
No, you said you're 52, so I'm 40, so that's 12.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'll be 40 in a couple months. Actually, the day before the festival, I'll be 40.
Are you coming to the festival?
So my wife and I are trying to figure that out because last year it was on a Friday and a Saturday. She couldn't get the day off, and we couldn't justify spending the money to go out essentially for a day for her. So, and I didn't want to go without her. So this year we're trying to figure that out, but I have a tattoo appointment that Friday to get my throat done. So kind of figure out how out of it I'm going to be after getting that done for probably 4 or 5 hours.
Just come. You'll be fine.
I want to. I was really pissed because Jackie and Corey were giving me a bunch of shit because we were planning on linking up for at the thing, and they're like, "You should have been here." And Corey was like, "I made all this fucking food," and I'm like, "I fucking hate you guys. Stop texting me. Lose my number. Who this?" I mean, Suicide Silence. I mean, I feel like that's an interesting band now because I feel like it feels like they've kind of come back around full circle to people liking them again, which is interesting because I feel like they always have unapologetically done their own thing. And so it's weird that some people were just not on board with it, but I feel like, now you're seeing a lot of people really stoked on the band again.
Yeah, I think, put it on better music, doing things. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The band's great. They're a great band. Eddie's Eddie, you know what I mean? It's like he's great. He's great front man. They're a really great band. They get it. It's like, I watched a video today of Mitch. And I'm like, God damn, he was good. He was so good. I watched that dude. I saw Suicide Silence with Mitch probably about 50 times. And I watched it. I went on tour with him in Australia with Acacia Strain and Data Remember and Parkway Drive. And I was like, he was a master, man. He was great. Rest in peace. He was great. But the band is still strong. The band has, got to write the good music. I mean, that's what comes out of it. You write, That's all this is. You're as big as your last record.
Yes.
Or last single these days.
Yeah, that gets a little interesting. I was thinking of this the other day, so it's kind of funny that we're kind of chatting. How do you feel? Do you see there being? And I guess honestly, now before I even say the question, I feel like the answer is just everything's a playlist now. But I was going to say, have you ever thought of doing like some kind of a compilation like there used to be for all the festivals when they'd come out to kind of get people excited about bands and maybe kind of have it be a way that
Well,
are playing?
we're doing that. We're doing that with the playlist. We did a New England metal and hardcore playlist with that, that's with Nuclear Blast. And like today, we launched it today with that band Life Cycles, put out a single for them, and they're on the cover of it. So every week we're going to be doing something new with that. So newer bands. Last week was that band Tracheotomy. They're not playing the festival, but that's something people should check out. Great band from Florida. And then like the week before that, we did, it was Full of Hell. It's like just that's one thing we're doing. Trying to doing that every week, changing that up. Then doing a compilation and putting it out to the world. Giving it out for free. We're doing some stuff like trying to work some stuff out for something like that. But it's like we're trying to put. It's just hard because a lot of people don't listen to CDs.
Right.
It's like
I really, like I said, I kind of realized as I was saying it, I was like, well, like a friend of mine just bought a brand new car and she's like, I don't even have a CD player in this. Like I can't listen to the CDs like I did in my car I still have. And I was even thinking about it because I ended up getting from Josta actually the Burn Your Wishes split CD.
Nice.
And I still have a CD player in my car, but it's like a 2017 and I don't think they have them much after that. So it becomes this like kind of thing where in my head, it's like that was always the fun thing when the festivals would put it, like, thinking of the Ozfest, the Warped Tours, and all these things when they came out with the CDs. It was so cool to get those and kind of get ready for, the festival. And like I said, I guess now, I'm old and I don't think of playlists as a viable replacement for that. To me, it's like I'd rather have the tangible thing. But I guess in a different sense, it's actually a lot probably less legal red tape that you got to go through to put out a CD that you're selling with a bunch of artists on different labels and so forth. But
we did it. We would put out CDs and free CDs, and we did it with I forgot who we did it with, but yeah, Jamie still does it. He puts out CD compilation CDs and stuff like that for with Milwaukee Metal Fest, and I'm like, who listens to this? Like, how does this work? Do people still have, what you're, is this real? You know what I mean? Do people still listen to CDs? And I'm like, I'm gathering so.
Well, I would almost wonder then, how has that been for you to re-navigate over the last 2 years of how do you get people to learn more about these bands that maybe they don't and make sure that they're, is it still kind of a work in progress of coming up with new ideas to do that?
Playlists, it's playlisting, it's getting it out there. It's like, the Spotify's where like you go look for, a Body Snatcher, it's like, what else is connected to Body Snatcher? Fans of, That's the other thing of doing that, So, hey man, you gotta chill out. I'm on a podcast, bro. My dog too.
I saw your cat earlier poke its head up behind your shoulder on the stairwell.
Oh yeah, he's a maniac. We got the Ark over here in Chicopee, Mass. We got a couple dogs, got a bunch of cats. Yeah, it's cool. I got a dead owl right above me, right up there. See that? But how to get the answer to your question? It's just like touring with other bands, doing all this stuff. It's like how do we as a festival get people to know about it? It's like we put it out there, then people go look for it. It's like nowadays it's easier for everybody. They just go on Spotify and type in, Glacial Tomb. What's this about? Oh, it's members of Chemists. Oh, it's pretty cool. Oh, it's death metal. Okay, cool. It's like stuff like that. Like you'll find things It's easier for people to find things than back in my day when you used to go on Main Street Records in Northampton and look for something. And like, oh, what's this? What's this? It's got a cool cover, you know.
That's literally how I found Most Precious Blood.
Yeah.
The Our Lady of Annihilation album. I was like, I walked by at a Hot Topic and I was like, what is this? Put it on and I was instantly hooked.
I was when I was younger, and I like go to this thing called Record Town, and there was a T-shirt station, and they had all these rock old metal T-shirts, and I'm like, Malice, what's this? And I looked at the T-shirt, I'm like, Malice, what a cool looking shirt, and I went and bought the record, and it was fucking garbage. Like, God damn it, this doesn't work all the time, you know. But they had some great artwork, but it wasn't. At that time, I wasn't into it. But you know, and like, it's about like, you know, it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, vinyl's the big thing. I go, yeah, vinyl's cool. How many people play records on a constant? Or are you just collecting it for the artwork? Because the artwork's cool, you know what I mean? But people just, or buying two and playing one and keeping one or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But most people just buy it, put it in the shelf. I collected this, cool, check. And then they listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever.
Well, I mean, that's literally what happened to me is we bought other things to fill out the house as you do when you know, are married and buy a home. And the records just weren't a priority anymore for us and weren't really the thing that everyone wanted to do when people were coming over. It was, you know, using the HomePod and stuff like that to play music and all that. And then the records came into my house and it was cool for a while. But then I had that same problem because I'd have to turn around and like change the record over.
Yeah.
Or I could literally just sit here and play the exact same thing. And then it became a thing where I was like, yeah, it's cool to be able to pull out some of these records and be like, oh, I got this like test press of this, or I have this first pressing of something or whatever. And then I just was like, you know, I could probably sell most of this and like get out of debt a little faster and pay off a loan a couple years early. And that's literally what I did. And it's kind of tough because like Record Store Days just happened. And it was kind of crazy to see like, you know, this Him 7-inch that I was like, I really want that because it's cool looking. Yeah. But then it's like, that's how it starts. I'm going to buy that one. Then I'm just going to be like, well, I need to go back and buy these other records and CDs that I, you know, sold or don't have anymore. But I think the other thing for me is I've kind of learned that these are just things and I'd rather I still have the memories associated with the music. I still have, you know, memories of going to see these bands and stuff like that. And that won't be taken away. And I can still listen to the music on my computer or whatever, but let those records go to someone who actually will play them and get more use out of them than I did.
That makes sense. Yeah. But
I feel like a big thing that just a really fucking weird question, or not even a question, but just I'll throw you something just because I feel like it's going to come up with a fun story. How much merch do you walk away with and how much merch do you have from doing these all these years of all the bands that had played?
All right. So we got 2 bedrooms up in our house, and one of them is my closet. Put it that way. That's an easy way of saying. Well, no, we have 4 bedrooms, but just upstairs, and one of them is my closet. Sorry, I didn't want to cheapen us on my bad.
What has been one of the craziest designs you've seen at a New England Metal Hardcore Festival? Like, what's been your favorite?
Sick of It All did one with my face on it. It was great.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Yeah, my man Jed, who sold merch for Sick of It All, he's like, hey, send me a picture. And I didn't have glasses at the time and put glasses on. So in the picture, I'm wearing sunglasses and there's Sick of It All dragons in it. And it's a Sick of It All shirt. It's very cool.
That's pretty cool.
I mean,
not often you get immortalized and merch, limited merch.
And Sick of It All too, which is one of the greatest hardcore bands ever, you know?
Absolutely. I don't think I asked you this last year, and if you did and you've answered this question a bunch, apologies, but how it's got to be really fulfilling and rewarding for you to put all these bands together of various eras and maybe see people meeting people that inspire them to be in a band for the first time and that like mutual admiration. How has that been for you over the years of putting on this festival?
That's cool. I mean, I just want, you know, people to younger bands to look at what the older bands are doing and keep in the middle bands or whatever you want to call it. There's a band that's playing the fest, and they're called Disembodied Tyrant. Not disembodied and not tyrant.
Not
disembodied tyrant. And they're a young band. And, you know, they're of the deathcore world. And I told them they're playing the festival. Shit, this is incredible. We can't wait to play and see all these great bands. And it's like, this is amazing. Thank you so much. And it's like, that's cool. Like, it's one of our dreams, you know, they're excited about it, you know, the younger bands, and that's cool. And then the older bands play, like Death Before Dishonor is like, this is great, thank you so much, you know what I mean, like that. So I get satisfaction out of that. I get satisfaction of watching everybody sing along to the songs, and to, you know, it's like last year Lamb of God's great, one of the greatest fucking metal bands ever, and like, dude, they're the nicest people ever, and they care about people. And they care about everything. Randy was running around taking pictures at the festival. You know, it's great people. Our community is amazing. You know, and it's like, you know, it's like where everybody enjoys everything. It's music's a thing where it helps people get through things. You know, and it's like, and it means a lot to people when a band plays their favorite song, and obviously, you know what I mean. But it also means a lot to the bands to see these people screaming and yelling about it. And it makes me happy to see like these people watching it at the festival. And like somebody said to me, thank you for bringing our festival back. And like, that's cool. That's awesome. That makes me happy. You know, it's like anything else, everybody, you're going to have haters. Ticket price is too high. This, that, and the other thing. Oh yeah. And you know, you don't like this band because this, and this, but at the end of the day, I feel like we put on a great show. We put a great lineup together. It's going to be a great show. And I feel like people are going to enjoy themselves. And I think some people need to get off their fucking high horse and realize that this is, you know, this is a special thing. You know what I mean? And ticket prices are, I'm sorry, ticket prices are ticket prices these days. You know, it's like everything's more expensive. Eggs are more expensive. Fucking milk is more expensive.
Yep.
Come on, people, get like, if you took, like, it was really funny. I actually did do this, and I'm going to really make you laugh. I went through this whole lineup, and I looked at the ticket prices. I could figure out the ticket prices for the majority of the bands. So for one day of New England Metal and Hardcore Festival, which is $110 ticket, right? Follow.
I mean, As Lay Dying by themselves usually pushes almost a $35 ticket.
Correct. So if you go and you do this, you're basically paying. Oh, I'm trying to find the thing. I'm sorry. 1 second.
Very good. I bet it's less than $4 a band.
Yeah. I mean, you're spending basically $1,600 to see all these bands for one day.
Yeah.
If you went and saw them on tour. Now, granted, you're not going to get, you know, you're not getting the full 45 minutes or an hour of their headlining shows or whatever, or an hour of their headlining shows. So we're playing 45 minutes, but it's still a great fucking show to bring the kids and have a good time with, you know? You know, it's awesome. So I don't really think it's a how do I put this? Like, I think people need to get off their high horses with that type of shit. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, it's hard. It's very hard. The economy, I get it. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like, what you're gonna go spend, you know, $300 and $400 and see, you know, how many shows is that? You think like 6 shows? You know what I mean?
If depending on taxes and all that stuff,
yeah,
and parking,
yeah,
and hotels,
and t-shirts and food and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Come hang out, have a good time. It's a great layout. It's good. Like I said, bring the whole family down. It's a great time.
I mean, my wife and I often joke, and I'm kind of, again, like this weekend, a friend of mine that works at a venue here in town at the intersection, and might have actually seen him. He's kind of gone viral a handful of times for being a taller, like bigger, like bear looking security guard, but like dancing and singing along to all the stuff, the shows that are happening behind him. But what's funny is like we're going to Detroit to go see the Ghost Inside show, and then the next day we're going to go see the Alpha Wolf Amir show. Basically, it's just a bunch of hangs with friends on both those tours.
That's awesome.
But it's funny because I'm like, yeah, I got free tickets to both shows, but at this point I'm almost $300 for the Airbnb because it's also the NFL draft this weekend. So everything's mad expensive. Gas is expensive again. Like, so I'm like, my wife and I always joke, like, we spend so much money to go to quote unquote free shows that it's like the $70 someone's like, waving for us really isn't that much with how much more we're really spending. But I mean, that's also the thing we do to go see friends and go see live music because it's such an important part of our lives that you just don't even bat an eye at it.
I'm telling you, everything's more expensive these days. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I mean? It really doesn't. It's
your egg thing hit me real hard because the other day my wife got free eggs from a coworker who has chickens, I guess. And I was like, oh shit, we got a chicken plug now or egg plug. I was like, now we don't got to pay for eggs at like almost $5 a dozen. Fuck that.
It's no joke, right? It's like
know.
The whole thing is crazy. I mean, I don't know. There's one thing I will tell you though that's going to make you mad. That the Friday before this, we're going to do a pre-party.
Oh.
Yes. And the headline of that pre-party is God forbid.
Damn it, I just was listening to Doc on his podcast saying that there's some God forbid stuff that hasn't been announced.
He's funny.
I'm going to text Corey and be like, you fucking dick, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, Corey, so I went to the Shadows Fall show in New Jersey, and he played a song with Shadows Fall. It's great. He's one of my favorite people. I like Corey a lot.
So you're probably stoked he moved back then.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably could hear him coming a mile away.
Yeah, we have a good time. He's a good guy.
Yeah, my wife was like, I think you finally met your match for someone who's louder and talks as much as you, if not more. And I was like, that's just East Coast. That's East Coast people right there. We're loud and we can talk.
That's for sure. What else you got for me? I got to wind this up.
Yeah. I guess like, did you guys do a pre-show last year?
No.
Okay. No. So that's obviously something that you're going to look into probably moving forward is to continue it kind of, I don't want to say expanding what it is, but expanding what it is.
Maybe we might be doing some other crazy shit too. Can't talk about it, but late in the future. But it's like we got a couple things going on.
You and your secrets over there,
all
trapped in your beard.
Well, they're all right here.
I guess like I know this is like such a shitty copy like question to ask, but and I know it's blood has been shed. I probably is the answer, but who is there left that you want to bring back or that hasn't played New England Metal Hardcore Fest yet?
I don't know. Blood has been shed's played it.
I guess there's the 2-part question. Who do you want to come back and play it? And who that has never played it do you really want to get like a bucket list?
With sugar. There's a whole bunch of bands I want to have come back and play, but I mean, it's like I don't know. Blood has been shed would be a big one for me. That would be perfect. I'm a big fan of Sleeping Giant too. If you're not familiar with them, but they played in Metal Fest too. I don't know. It's hard to think. Maybe Emperor. Maybe
that is an answer.
Fuck, man. I don't know. There's a couple that come to mind, but I don't know. I would love to see Metallica do it, but that'll never happen. I would love to see Pantera do it, but that'll never happen. It's just
maybe you can get the Reunited Down to do it next year.
Down would be cool. Down would be very cool. Like Down in like a Corrosion and Conformity type of thing. Do a whole Nola.
Maybe some I Hate God.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh yeah, there's some. Yeah. Emperor would be a really good one. Fuck, man. I think, yeah, there's some bigger power, like Rhapsody, but they're not going to do anything, I don't think, anymore. I don't know. There's some bigger power metal. Like the first year we did Man of War. That was sick. And then, like, I don't know. I think that's about it. Emperor, something like that,
Fair enough. Where can everyone find you, or anything you would like to plug online?
I would love to plug you can go to the, hold on, let me read this. I'm old and I don't remember shit.
That's where I'm starting to get into.
www.metalandhardcorefest.com. That's the official website. They have all the tickets and all the VIP ticketing and everything there. Did you see the one what we have for VIP stuff?
No, I have not. I've been working on a project that has to come out soon for a surprise song release for a band that I just did a podcast with about a week and a half ago.
Oh, cool.
So my focus and effort has been on trying to get all that over to them to then approve or have to make edits or whatever, because they're going to use it as part of their promo. So that's kind of been my world the last week and a half.
We got foam hands.
Oh shit. Okay.
And dice and a bunch of cool shit. But yeah, that's go there for all your, buy tickets, come hang out, talk some shit. Let's go. Let's see you.
Sounds good. I will hopefully I'll have to start figuring out finances and logistics after I get my throat tattooed, and then just come down and be an asshole with everybody.
Yes, please come be an asshole.
So that was my conversation with Scott Lee. Want to thank him once again for taking the time to come on and talk all things New England Metal and Hardcore Festival 2024. I will just go ahead and go on record and say I'm looking forward to talking to him next year around the same time about next year's lineup. I think this year, as you heard me say at the end, there's not really a feasible way for me to go this year. Last year, everything was good to go, but my wife couldn't get out of work the Friday that we were supposed to go, and that really just put a damper on us going because we had every intention of going. And it was really a bummer because so many friends were there, and I was really looking forward to ripping a hang with everyone and finally getting to go to the Palladium, but it just wasn't meant to be due to her job and us not really thinking it was worth going for a day and spending all the money and all the hassles of finding someone to watch our dog and everything. So this year, before I knew everything was going to pan out, obviously I made an appointment for the day of my birthday, which is the day before the festival happens, to get my throat tattooed. And even me now thinking about it, I really, after the conversation, was thinking about how can I pull it off. And I know me, and I know after getting a tattoo the size and as long as I'm going to be worth about a broke dick for a day or two after that, just because of how depleted your body gets energy-wise. And I just also imagine after getting my throat tattooed, I'm not really going to want to do a whole lot of moving of my my neck and my head. If it's anything like when I did either side of my throat, or my neck, I should say. So 2025 hopefully will be the year that I finally get to go rip a New England and Metal Hardcore Festival gig and get one under my belt and go check out the legendary venue at the Palladium. I was just recently watching the Killswitch Engage DVD, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, even the Acacia Strain DVD, I think, was filmed upstairs at the Palladium, and then the Killswitch one was downstairs for the End of Heartache touring cycle, the World Ablaze DVD. So I have technically watched 2 shows ad nauseum at that venue, and as well as I think others. I think maybe the All That Remains DVD was filmed there too, maybe. I'm not sure. And then obviously Killswitch redoing the live stream from the Palladium. But all of that to say, I'm looking forward to finally going to a show there at some point. It just looks like maybe next year is the year. I will kind of pre-plan that when booking a bunch of my trips and settling aside for vacation time off and so forth. But I'm hoping that it'll be on a Saturday and Sunday. And really, it'll just be a thing maybe where my wife and I can leave after work and catch a flight and then head down that way and go see Scott Lee in person and meet everybody else that goes down that way, all the Atom Splitter crew, Amy and the people that work there. But huge thanks to Scott for taking the time. If you are able to actually go to the festival, though, you can still go to metalandhardcorefest.com, get tickets. There's pre-show party tickets, there's VIP packages still available, and general admission tickets. Just because I can't go because I made a commitment to tattoo my throat and I guess push off, being old or feeling old another year. It doesn't mean that you can't go and enjoy all these bands. There are so many bands. And as you heard, because this came out and was coming out after the fact, Year of the Knife, Maddie and the crew, it's going to be one of their first shows back, I believe. Couldn't be more exciting. I will definitely be perusing all my social medias and obviously YouTube and so forth to see how that performance goes down. But what a great moment to be able to kind of capture, a band that was on the rise, doing so well on the lips of almost everybody, of the kind of one of the next bigger bands to come out of that underground scene, and to obviously have everything happen that happened to them. Only now to come back. Everyone loves a good comeback story. I'm very much looking forward to hopefully being able to see more shows from Year of the Knife. So once I had heard that they were on the bill too, I was like, fuck, I really want to go to this show. But hopefully people take awesome videos and I can live vicariously through those that go. But again, go to metalandhardcorefest.com, get your tickets. And the cool thing too, looking at the website, the thing I do like that they did last year as well is giving you different hotel options and also restaurants and so forth that are near the area. So it's always really cool to kind of see everything that's going on over there. And honestly, if you are, like I said, a fan of this scene, almost anybody that's on this podcast, you're going to find something here at the festival that you like. So go support them. Go tell them that we sent you. And who knows, maybe I'll work with Scott next year and maybe try to do some sort of a ticket giveaway or a discount code or something. Get a little bit more involved, get a little skin in the game, as it were. But all that said, let's start wrapping up the episode. If you would like to keep up with Scott, it's simple enough, really. You can just find him on Instagram and Twitter at ScottLee26. If you would like to keep up with the festival itself, honestly, just go to metalandhardcorefest.com. That'll be the landing page for everything. But if you want to follow it on Facebook, Metal and Hardcore Fest, Instagram at NEMH Official, and I didn't see one on Twitter for the festival. Everything was just kind of tagged, but not tagged with anything. So if they happen to have one, I didn't see it, but follow those. And speaking of following, if you want to follow the podcast, you can follow us simple enough, Brew Pod on all your major social media platforms. Email me at brutallyspeaking@gmail.com. Rate, review, subscribe, whatever you can do on whatever platform you listen to this on. It's greatly appreciated. Loving all the feedback, loving even the feedback on episodes that are from long ago. I've been getting a couple more comments rolling in on the Pepper Keenan episode. I think a lot of people sort of are getting annoyed, or were annoyed, I don't know, however you want to say it, since it was over a year or so ago, maybe almost 2, but essentially people being like, the quality's fine, shut the fuck up. So there you go. Can't please everyone, but I'm glad people are checking out the back catalog. I'm glad people are finding episodes that mean something to them with artists that they love. So keep the conversation going in whatever capacity that looks like for you. And lastly, let's take care of a little bit of business. Thanks to Rockabilia. Head on over to rockabilia.com. Use our code BRUTALLY at checkout. Take 10% off your total purchase order. Lots of great items going on over there. Constant collabs. Actually, they just did a collaboration, if you follow them on social media, with an artist who is doing a gig poster for Avenged Sevenfold, I think over in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. But essentially, they do all kinds of different collaborations, not just with bands, but with artists from all over the world. And I'm kind of working on something maybe as well. I might be heading that way to the Rockabilia headquarters in a couple of months for something. I'm still trying to figure out if I can make it happen, but I haven't been out there myself personally. I really want to go. I'd like to see the warehouse, and I'd like to see Frankie and the crew. I feel like through watching some of their interviews and such when the bands come through the warehouse, I feel like I've kind of gotten to know some of the staff that works there through those videos. But follow them, give them a follow, spend some money over there, support them, take some money off of your total purchase order. Again, using Brutally at checkout. Support them for supporting us. And for the Brutally Speaking podcast, I am John, and I'll talk to you all next week, where my guest is Jay of Love Letter, ex-Defeater. That was a really great conversation. Lots of Jordan Buckley love in that one. Looking forward to getting that chat out for you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you all then.